All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm really proud again tonight to introduce you to Ben Gage to talk about innovation. Ben.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Adrian. As Adrian said, from like 2000 until 2008, I was the Dean of Entrepreneurship at a school, international business college here called California International Business University, and they had programs in China, France, and Germany. So it was an MBA program, and they also had undergraduate, but the MBA was really the focus, and the idea was to spend a semester in each of those three countries, and then finish up in the United States. And so the wrap-up of the MBA program was I had put together a week-long field trip to Silicon Valley. I was fascinated by Silicon Valley. I wanted to know more about it. I wanted to know why was Silicon Valley the worldwide center of innovation and new product development and the creation of this incredible wealth and all these new products, you know, Google and Apple and Yahoo and Cisco and on and on and on, Hewlett-Packard. And so I really got fascinated by innovation, and so I added a module to an upper division MBA course that was called The Process of Innovation, and then that turned into this summary, which was how to encourage innovation. I think what Adrian just showed us about this guy and how he innovated the Swifter from the bottom up, really just kind of looking at a small team, is really very relevant to all of you, because that's a process you're going to use in your own businesses. What I was looking at is more like the top down. How do you institutionalize innovation within a company? What are the things that encourage innovation and foster it and develop it and move it forward? That's why I was really fascinated speaking to the young lady here about, Hannah, was that her name? About, you know, this right here, because we're going to talk about that. So, so innovation starts at the top. It has to come from the leadership of the organization. So whether that's a single person organization or it's thousands of people like Hewlett-Packard or Google or one of these companies, it has to be something where it actually is part of the mission statement. I think it's fascinating that innovation is part of their mission statement. It's part of their whole corporate core value. And you heard a little bit about what they do. They've got innovation teams, and they've got a whole innovation like mailbox where you can drop it in. And I will guarantee you they do all of the things that we're going to talk about here. So the first thing you have to do is you have to establish that clear sense of direction. You have to let people know that innovation is important, that you want to be developing new ideas, that you're going to take their ideas seriously, that they're going to be recognized, they're going to be rewarded. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And I would guarantee you that AMN does all of that. And I think we're going to make this available to you, so I'm going to go through it very quickly because we've taken a lot of time on the other parts of this. So I'm not going to go through all this, but having a clearly articulated mission statement that includes innovation sends the message to everybody in your company, from the janitor all the way up to your senior executives. And that's where it has to work, because innovation can come from anywhere. There's no way to predict when or how or what it's going to be or what part of your business it's going to impact. And so you just have to create this culture that encourages it, like a petri dish that's just going to let everything grow. And so, let's see. Okay, so you make innovation the organization-wide priority. You let everybody in the organization know that you are free to come up with new ideas. They will be treated with respect. It's a priority. It's part of our core value. It's something that we are going to reward. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But it's very, very important to this company that any ideas that you have are going to be brought to us. They're going to be seriously considered. If they have merit at all, we're going to incorporate them into our business. We're going to, in my outline, there was a really key element of this that happened in Japan. I don't know if any of you have heard of W. Edward Deming, but the Deming Prize is one of the biggest prizes in Japan, and he was an agricultural statistician that was sent to Japan after World War II, and he actually started the whole concept of continuous improvement. And I love it that that's another part of their core values. And what he did was he said, it shouldn't be the guys that are up in the corporate offices that are making a decision about a automobile factory, you know, the line where all the parts are being installed on an automobile. It should be the guy that's installing the parts. That's the guy you've got to give the power to say, I need a different tool, the angle should be changed, the thing should come slower, I need a different bin for my parts. The parts should be delivered sooner so that I can assemble them before the car gets here, whatever it is. And so Toyota actually incorporated that. Sony, Toyota, Honda, all of the major Japanese companies did it, and it's a whole concept called constant and never-ending improvement. But it's small little changes, little tiny things that are innovations that make the difference in the whole enterprise. And if you go to Apple, you go to Google, I took my students to Google, they let us in and we talked about this. And they said that their whole culture is about innovation. And in fact, if you're not thinking about innovation, they don't want you there. So if you're not taking risks, if you're not stretching the envelope, if you're not going outside the box, which is why they have kind of the colors and the recreational areas, and they allow dogs, and you know, all of the great things that they do. The second thing is you have to, let me do this wrong. This won't work incrementally, no. You have to maintain open communication. That means two-way communication. So there's an example here about Southwest Airlines during the Gulf War when gas prices, and it's happened several times since, fuel prices skyrocketed, and Southwest Airlines was going crazy because they didn't want to raise their prices. That was their whole ethic, was they were the cheapest airline there was. So Hugh Keller, the guy who was the president of Southwest, issued a memo to everybody, from baggage handlers to pilots, saying, tell me ways we can save fuel. The pilots came back with a whole concept of reorganizing their structures, their hours, their shifts, and gave Southwest Airlines a huge advantage in the airline industry that continues to this day, because somebody asked the question of the person who knew the answer or could formulate the answer. So it made a huge difference. It was like a 30% savings in fuel costs just by reorganizing flight schedules and shifts and when they took off and when they landed. And so with a very minor change in schedules and the impact to their customers, they were able to innovate 30% fuel savings. So where am I?
Move the mouse on the computer.
Oh, I see. This? Oh, I should take that over there and come down. Huh? That would work better. No.
Click on the document.
Oh, there we go. No. Where's Avery? When I need him.
Can you do it on the pad?
Yeah, maybe I could just do it on the mouse. No, it's not doing it. Well, I want to be able to scroll it. And
Try page down.
There you go, it's gone.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay. So, yeah, so this is the story about Herb Keller and that. Okay, but now this is better. Obvious point, you got to reduce bureaucracy. If people have to go through chains of command and they have to go through a whole structure to get their point of view made clear, they're never going to do it. You're going to frustrate them. So I love the AMN idea, and this is something that a lot of corporations that are successful at this have done, is there's got to be a direct pathway. There should be like an innovation manager or an innovation office, and there should be an email, and those emails should be welcomed, and they should be immediately responded to. They should be appreciated. They should be answered, and the people that sent them need to know that their idea was actually thought about, evaluated, and if it was actually incorporated, so much the better. Give them the credit for it, make that credit public, and we're going to talk about reward. This is key too. Google has this. Every single person at Google has ownership. So it's not like they feel that somebody above them or behind them or below them or anywhere else is responsible for their ideas, their thinking, their plans, their projects. They collaborate, but a key element is that they are given the authority to formulate an idea, deliver that idea to somebody who's going to consider it and evaluate it, and then own it from that point forward. They're going to be part of the team that is going to take that idea forward, because the concept is that if they were the ones that actually applied the mental process to come up with it and present it, then they should be part of the process that sees it through, because that way everybody gets to feel like they were part of the whole thing. So recognition and rewards. Monetary rewards are not a good idea because it sets up too much competition. You don't want to set up competition between groups. What you want to do is have like this global announcement. Congratulations, so-and-so has done this. It's furthered the enterprise. We want to thank them for their contribution. But don't single people out to the point where it creates an elitism. This is huge, and there's a book called The Silicon Valley Edge that was written by a Stanford emeritus professor, and that was actually the name of my class that I taught about Silicon Valley. The biggest thing about Silicon Valley is that they not only tolerate risk, they encourage risk. And that means they encourage failure. So they are not frustrated by failure. They're only frustrated by failure if you didn't learn from your failure. If you can tell them clearly, yeah, I tried this, I failed, but here's what I learned, I'll never do that again, you're a hero in Silicon Valley. And it is probably the single most distinguishing feature of why Silicon Valley has been the most innovative place on the planet for the last 30 years. So you can't criticize people if they take calculated risk and fail. You only criticize them if they fail repeatedly doing the same thing. And this is really big too, is too many businesses get in a rut, and the founders of the business or the kind of the dying elephants at the top of the business do what they've always done because it's what they've always done. And they're not willing to let go of processes that are no longer relevant, no longer productive. A key to an innovative company is that if anybody identifies, and it's proven to be a valid point, that there's a process in place that is not working or could be done differently or better, you abandon it immediately. You don't, certainly you have to look at what are the consequences, how does that affect the whole structure, the supply chain or whatever it might be that it affects. But you immediately begin the process of getting rid of that roadblock, that inefficient process, that frustrating bureaucracy, whatever it is. And I think there's a great thing about the pace at which we operate now. If you don't do this, you're going to get run over by your competitors because they're doing it every day. So that's a huge part of innovation as well. Okay, so to wrap it up, the key to this whole thing is to incorporate all of these and build a culture of sustainable innovation. And the way you do that is by getting this message out to everybody within your organization, and it starts with the founders of the company, it starts with the owners of the company, and it works its way all the way through to every level. But if you incorporate all of these processes, and I love all the processes, the bottom-up innovation, because this is more top-down innovation, maintenance, and sustainability. But then what you're going to do is you're going to encourage everybody in your group to constantly be bringing you the new ideas that are going to be the iPhone or the iPad or the whatever the next technological advancement or even service advancement is going to be. What time? We got to get out of here, don't we?
Well, we're going to do a little panel discussion after this, but
So that was a very quick. What I just did was the outline for a 3-hour class that I gave. So, but I wanted to bring it and just bring this and kind of present it quickly because I love this topic. I'm passionate about it, and in every company that I work with, I'm constantly asking the question of, okay, what can we do, what can we do, how can we, make this happen differently, so.
If you want to improve, constant improvement, otherwise you just got stagnation, you become obsolete. The way the world moves so fast nowadays, it's that fast, so this is a perfect focus. Thank you, Ben. Other questions, folks? Yes, Mark?
Yeah, Ben, this is great. Can you just, one more second on your comments about rewarding?
Yes.
Because first of all, what level of reward do you recommend? Why do you think giving someone an award promotes elitism? And then I can see the dangers in giving two different teams the same project, and then it's a cutthroat competition.
Right.
But if a team takes on a task and they do great, at the annual holiday party, you say this team did great.
Oh, no, you do that.
So what level of reward are you recommending?
Well, the best reward, it's actually, Peter Drucker did a big study on this, and the Kauffman Institute has done studies on it as well. And what they found was the best reward is a public commendation, and the best way to stimulate innovation through that as part of the process is to kind of say that this group, these people, this person did the following things. And so what you do is you lay out what is the pathway to innovation? How did they achieve this? How did they accomplish this goal or this result? And then you pat them on the back for, that's remarkable. What you've done is you have incorporated every one of the concepts that the company has promoted and encourages, because what you want to do is you want to relate it back to the company policy. So you want to reward the individual, but you also want to stimulate everyone else to believe in the process and the culture.
It's the culture.
Yeah, because that's really the reward, is the constant innovation, and so you want everybody else to go, wow, I could do that too.
Exactly.
So that's really where and then that person is elevated for a moment, but then they're part of the whole. They're not separated from everybody else, because what they've shown is that the innovation is a collaborative process. Everyone has to feel like they're part of that success. It's not the hard-charging, entrepreneurial, kick-ass, I've got mine, and hope you can get yours someday. But it's really more the kind of the collaborative thing. So.
Good.
Thank you.